Greetings and welcome back, blade lovers. Well, looks like we're going to need more table real estate today for this giant boy. Yes, once again we are visiting the big ones from Cold Steel. I don't get too many Cold Steel knives for whatever reason. Even the more modestly sized ones. They haven't always been in my bailiwick, my ballpark, my cup of tea, what have you, over the years, although I had a very good relationship with Lynn Thompson and Cold Steel back in the mid 80s when I was doing a lot of magazine articles for Inside Kung Fu, Inside Karate, Karate Illustrated, and so forth on martial arts technique and form and self-defense. And as it turned out, the Tonto came out at that time. So Lynn was generous enough to send me a whole box of different Cold Steel products. Can't say as I have any of them left. That was a long, long time ago, and I've been in and out of the knife enthusiast activities since then. Anyway, here we are, 2023. And the new holding company, forgive me, I forget the name, I haven't followed it intensely. The new holding company for Cold Steel, who bought it from Lynn Thompson, has now come out with, and I think this is over the past couple of months, has come out with the Talwar. And the Talwar was a very strongly wanted and suggested knife from Cold Steel that Cold Steel collectors and users wanted to see come back. Blah. A lot of words to describe the fact that we now have this giant and beautiful knife back and available. This one came from White Mountain Knives. I think we're talking in the vicinity of 150, 160, maybe 170. I will give you the link to purchase it at White Mountain. Don't forget, you can get 10% off by using my discount code OLDSWORD, all one word. This is the Talwar. And I've been told that Talwar means sword, and I'm not sure in what language. It could be Arabic. This does have a Persian influence. Not that much of an upsweep if you really look at it. It sort of tells you that it's a trailing point blade, but again, looking at that top spine, it's really just very, very gently curved, and I like that because it keeps the point on line with the handle, at least with the very top of the handle in this case. It is a triad lock with the lock bar in the middle, the release for it, that is. And this one's still breaking in, so you got to crush it a little bit in order to close it. And it's not a fidgety knife. I saw a review by Jimmy Slash on this one recently, and I would agree with him that it's not a fidgety knife. You can probably give it a lot of wrist and flick it out, but at this moment it is best to roll it out or use the wave type action to pull it out of the pocket. It opens very well. This was also an Andrew Demko invention, I understand, along with, of course, the triad lock. Now, one thing they did here on this particular knife is a lot of jimping, an interesting run of jimping there that you don't often see on at least the spring, the lock of the Cold Steel knives, but there it is. Okay, and yes, it is tight as a drum. Many of you have seen tests that Cold Steel does, putting the handle in a vise, putting weights on it, beating it, and it takes 600 pounds and so on and so forth. That's very reassuring. I don't think my hand would ever hold 600 pounds, and I don't know of anyone who can hold up 600 pounds with one hand like this. But it does prove the point, and that's what they're getting at. It's got a huge handle in order to house that 5.5-inch huge blade of S35 VN steel made in Taiwan. Okay, and kind of a satiny finish that picks up fingerprints very rapidly. got a little bit of a swedge at the top. Getting back to the handle, and let's see if we can, let me see how far I can back out without losing all of my background. I'm going to lift the camera a little bit for you. There we go. See if this helps a little bit. So I can go way back here, and these finger grooves are very comfortable. I have a 4-finger grip back here in case you wanted to chop with it a little bit out in the woods. I think it would do a decent job for a folder. Then you could creep up to the middle with 4 fingers and have some left over there for reach, right? This is a pocket sword after all. Or you can choke right up, and this jimping gives you some traction. Or you can try getting right out here on top of that thumb plate, and you've got a very choked up grip with lots left over. Now the reason, again, we got so much handle is because it's a folder and we got so much blade. Which brings us to the point, no pun intended, of how big this beast is. Well, it's just shy of 13 inches. We're going to call that 12 and 3/4, 12.8 inches long. Holy crap. It is a 5.5 inch exactly blade to the handle. There goes my microphone bumping the camera again. Sorry about the noise. And since I'm set to millimeters, it's a pretty thin stock. Let's grab it right there, 3.7 millimeters. At least it seems it because the blade is so large. And 0.14 in inches, and the handle's quite thin for a big knife. 0.54. I mean, it looks narrow, but because we've got enough height in the handle, you've got a grip. The G10 has a little bit of grip to it. It does have a texture. I'm not sure if you can see that. It's not a heavy texture, and you can see there by that big void on the left side of the knife that you can switch that clip over. Now the clip is about as deep carry as you're going to get on a knife like this. After all, you want something to hold on to pull it out of your pocket, and the button head screws actually would help that effort. All right, particularly if you're pulling it backwards and trying to wave it out of your pocket. Now it's a short clip. Because of the length of the knife, I think you don't need a big old long clip like that. This will sit so far down in your pocket that you're going to have difficulty falling out. You might even want to carry it sort of appendix carry and angle it off and carry it in your waistband. That would be very appropriate for a Middle Eastern inspired blade. I'll tell you right here with these 3 finger grooves, the balance and the lightness of this feels really, really good. Okay, so speaking of lightness, let's get the weight. Obviously, we're going to have some weight to this giant knife, but gotta tell you, for the size, it really doesn't seem like a pocket anchor, but we'll see. 8.74 ounces. When you see those numbers on shorter knives, you're going to scream pocket anchor. But because this is so large and long and flat, that all gets distributed very evenly, I feel. All right, are you ready for some comparisons? By the way, as I said, S35VN steel, beautiful steel. Nice that they're using it and not OS 10, OS 10A, etc., which are less expensive but still viable steels. Well, here's a guy that usually is the big boy on the block, a Max Ace Sandstorm K, and it is simply dwarfed by the Talwar. Look at that, fits right up inside the handle practically. And it is a 4.3 inch blade. It is no tiny knife. In any other context, it would be massive. Well, I've got some other cold steel knives here as well. How about the Formax Scout. Also a lockback. Now that's a big knife, but as you can see, again, that blade's about 3 inches longer, it looks like. And we've got maybe 4 inches longer overall. The Formax is a 4-inch blade, as far as I recall. 4-inch, yep. And it is, while we're there, 10 inches overall, not 13. Big beefy knife. Oh, look, we got some jimping in the top there too. I hadn't noticed that before. And the Formax Scout is from AUS 10A, as I was referencing earlier. And finally, one that might actually compete, the Frenzy by Cold Steel. And that is a long and thin knife. And if I put it all the way out there, let's put it up here. Might be easier. If I get those pommels even, yeah, it falls about an inch shorter overall than the Talwar. Amazing. Blades, however, are right on about the same. So if you don't have the Talwar, but you have the Frenzy, there we go. Frenzy's coming in actually a tad longer, so a little over 5.5 inches on the Frenzy. This is just a wicked big talon of a blade. Also S35VN and also made in Taiwan. There you go. One thing about Cold Steel knives is that you will never forget the name. They won't let you forget the name. It's heavily branded. Not as bad as some. I mean, some of the Columbia River Williams design knives, they're billboarded all over the place. Looks like you're in the middle of Tokyo with neon signs all over and whatnot. But getting back to this, let's do one more comparison just to knock you out a little bit. There is the Griptilian, full-size Griptilian. Yes, full-size Griptilian knife. And the Rat 1 tells me it wants to make an appearance as well, so what the heck. Oh yes, that big Rat 1 that usually dwarfs everything else is almost not seen, right? Crazy, crazy, crazy. So yeah, it's a pocket sword. It's not for everybody. I was attracted to it because the blade geometry is just perfect for slicing. You could get a lot of utility out of this as a camp knife, as something that you're willing to carry that's this large, maybe in a pouch, a big sheath or something, or down in your 511 jeans pocket. I like it. It feels great. It's overstated. It's crazy. It's off the charts. But it is a beautifully designed blade with a lot of purpose in mind. Certainly as something that you can pull out and frighten away the intruders for sure. There you have it, folks. The newly reintroduced Cold Steel Talwar for 2023 and beyond. Take care, be well, don't forget to like this video. I'll be back soon.